Okay, we're jumping right into a huge developing story today, one with some really serious global implications. The event that a lot of people have feared has actually happened, a direct military strike on Iran.
So it's confirmed. We know that multiple airstrikes have hit Tehran, Iran's capital. This is a massive escalation in what was already an incredibly volatile region.
And then things just took a massive turn. Sources are now confirming this wasn't a solo act. This was a joint military operation carried out by both the United States and Israel, a move that is sending absolute shockwaves around the globe.
All right, so what do we actually know about this attack? Well, the initial reports are suggesting it was way more than just a military strike. It was designed to be a highly symbolic message.
I mean, the details here are just audacious. These strikes happened in broad daylight, right in the heart of Tehran. And the target wasn't some remote military installation. It was an area right near the office of the supreme leader himself, Ayatollah Khamenei. That kind of precision, that target, that right there is the message. And it seems that message was received loud and clear. One source didn't mince words at all, putting it this bluntly, saying an attack like this is a straightforward message. This is the start of the war. So, immediately after the strike, you see Israel go on high alert. And you'd think, okay, they're bracing for the counterattack. But the situation was actually a lot more calculated than it looked at first.
So picture this. Within minutes of their own strike, air raid sirens start blaring across the entire country. Schools are told to shut down. Work from home orders go out. And eventually, they shut down all of Israel's airspace. The country looked like it was preparing for impact.
But here's the twist. Israeli officials clarified that this wasn't a reaction to an incoming missile. It was actually a pre-planned military drill. You see, if they'd held the drill before the strike, they would have tipped off Iran. So instead, they launched their attack and then immediately followed it up with a national readiness drill, preparing their own population while keeping that crucial element of surprise. Pretty clever, actually. So how on earth did we get here? To really get it, we've got to rewind the clock just a few hours. The diplomatic signals being sent were completely all over the place, and they point to a total catastrophic breakdown in communication. And this timeline is just wild. Just 10 hours before the strike, you have the Omani foreign minister, the guy mediating the whole thing, saying he's convinced a peace deal is close. At the exact same time, Canada is telling its citizens to get out of Iran. And then, just hours before the attack, you get U.S. Senator Marco Rubio accusing Iran of using detainees for political leverage, which is basically a signal that the talks had completely fallen apart. So what happened? Why did diplomacy just completely implode like that? Well, the sources are all pointing to one fundamental, totally immovable roadblock in the negotiations. The impasse was simple, but it was absolute. The U.S. position was completely non-negotiable. Iran would not be allowed to have nuclear weapons, period. And Iran, on the other side, just wasn't willing to meet those terms. With both sides completely dug in like that, there was just no path forward. And the Omani mediators seems to have confirmed this, stating that the American side provided no space or flexibility for any real mediation to even take place. With talks effectively frozen solid, it really looks like the military option became the only one left on the table. So, diplomacy is dead. Bombs are falling on Tehran. And that brings us to the most pressing question of all. What happens now? I mean, you have to ask yourself, after a direct U.S.-Israeli strike right near the office of their supreme leader, is Iran going to retaliate? It seems almost unthinkable that they wouldn't, right? The assessment from the source material is as direct as the attack itself. 100%. Not maybe, not if, but when. There is no doubt in their minds that Iran will retaliate. The only questions left are how, where, and when. A response is seen as completely inevitable. And that leaves all of us with this final, chilling question. A direct strike has happened. A counterstrike is expected. Have we just crossed a line that could pull the entire Middle East into a much wider and much more devastating conflict?